Bonjour, y'all. Nola Butterfly here, and we are in UTC time. Here is 3:12 p.m., which they say is actually 9:12 a.m. In Central Time, which is where I'm at in New Orleans, but it's actually 10:12. So it's either because they don't count daylight savings time, or because they know that radar is an hour behind. I'm not using live radar, sorry. I'm using the radar anybody can access, and that is an hour behind. Now in Florida, since we are tracking Hurricane Idalia, it is 10:12, they say. That's what the radar will be, but it's actually 11:12. So let's just check out, this is where Idalia is at least in their record keeping. And up in here right now, we were tracking it. We saw, well, let's just see. Here's the storm over here, and our live map. That's the projected path. But then this is, these are our radars. Okay, they're nationwide. They're all over the world, actually. And they cover, some of them overlap. They cover the whole continental U.S. For the most part. So these radars have overlap each other, but yours truly has been documenting hurricanes since 2017. I've been studying weather modification and weather weaponization, both the history, actuality, patents, stated intent, and the individual work of independent researchers. And it was after my interview with Weather War 101 that I made the discovery of Irma going directly into radar in the Florida Keys in 2017, and then I documented it going into one Doppler radar after another. So these are the ones we're looking at here, down in here. It went up, didn't quite get up to KTLH, but we saw some interaction, and we're going to catch KVAX right now. So let us, all right, this was, like I said, this was the Tallahassee one that we saw beams feeding it. But even though this is in the range of the Doppler radar that is directly pulling it is KVAX. Up here in Georgia, and you shall see it go right into it. There's a little beam here which is feeding the storm up this way, sucking it this way, and there was another beam here sucking it this way, but poof, right over it. Yet again, direct interaction. We have triangulated on these Dopplers and the climate, or the weather, local weather, in more ways than one. The hurricanes are the most interesting and obvious way, but on a daily basis, we can see triangulation of wind waves over the radar after the radar energizes the air around it and then releases that energy, creating a vacuum from the ground up, which causes wind waves to go over it from multiple directions, not just south to north, or it could be coming from the east, the south, and the north all at once. We have years of documentation. It is in different works of ours, but right here, right now, we are seeing the storm coming up at an angle into KVAX, where it is being steered. And if we look at the storm relative mean velocity, well, the red will always face the storm, but when there is a hurricane and the eye is approaching, they want to align with the energies and the electromagnetics of the hurricane. What they do is they split it. They get the green on one side of it, the red of the other, and the white between the two colors will pull up the eye. And so here we have red, but then it's got to grab that. It's got to line with the eye so that it can pull it properly. And there it goes. Right up the white. And I've like I said, I've got years of proving this. Also showing how there'll be a front coming through, and then the Dopplers will bloom. And by bloom, I mean, what do I mean? I mean, look at this. There is a blue. See the little blue? Well, now that's the hurricane is interfering with that blue. But that blue can take up the whole radar circle or just a little bit. And when it takes up the whole radar, it tends to send, that's when it's energizing the air and a big space around it. And when it shrinks the blue, it's releasing that energy, and that energy rises because heat rises. Electromagnetics do heat the air, however slightly you want to say. Even 5G does that. I've seen the scientific literature that acknowledges and admits that. So using 5G to help combat global warming, because supposedly it's more sustainable, doesn't make any sense, because it actually does heat up the air a little bit. And proliferating the field with that is not wise, nor is it sustainable, or nor is it anything that it purports to be. So here we go. Up in, makes the landfall, but it keeps going right into the radar. There was no radar here, and it's coming in at an angle. If there was steering being done by Tallahassee radar, but the main pull is into KVAX. And for some people say, well, there's a lot of Doppler radars. Well, there are a lot of Doppler radars, but they're not all over the place. I mean, there isn't one right here. Granted, they could put one right there. They could roll one out, but they tend to work with the ones that are already on the grid. And I think that's one of the reasons they feel safe with the chemtrail narrative, because you point your finger up to the sky and sure enough, we're being sprayed. Or some of it is just jet engine exhaust that is forming clouds because of the high saturation of ice crystals, because these Doppler radars are super saturating the air with water vapor when they evaporate it up there. And so when it's super saturated with ice crystals, any plane can come along with its jet fuel, which is chemical exhaust, creating condensation nuclei for the contrails to persist and create a persistent contrail. You know, ice supersaturated regions is the #1 reason, or at least justification, for a contrail persisting. Even though we know they also spray, you know, contrails are a medium. So they don't ever just do things one way. They do things as many ways as they possibly can, for as many reasons as they possibly can, because never take the cow to market just for its meat or its milk when it's got both. And don't forget the hide. Yes. So, anyways, this is Nola Butterfly correcting the narrative and showing you the consistency of this theory of mine, which is based on radar observation and years of it. And I encourage you to go to my channel. So on YouTube is where all my weather work is, but I've put it up on my Rumble as well. And see my World of Hot Water documentary series. And also you can go to rumble.com/user/Nola Butterfly, or you can go to youtube.com/c/Nola Butterfly 2, my second Nola Butterfly channel. And you're going to have to put it in directly, because I probably won't come up in your suggestion bar. Anyways, censorship sucks, but we're still here doling out the truth. So watch out, y'all. This isn't done, and they can always roll out some more narratives with fires and floods. And I might do a re-edit, not a re-edit, but do another video where I show all the work leading up to it and how I do it, breaking down some more of the theory and the evidence behind my my observations and how I go about it. But this is it. This is the meat and potatoes right here. This is it going into yet another. So when they say that there's a lot of Doppler radars, you know, there's a lot of holes on a pool table. And just because you break your balls in your opening shot doesn't mean you're going to get a single one in. And yet there's a lot of holes on the table. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? On just a little table. Same thing here. Just because you've got these holes doesn't mean that the ball's going to go in the corner pocket. But with Doppler radar and the eye of the storm, it always ends up doing so. So, stay tuned, and please follow me for more stuff. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you want to PayPal me, that information will be linked as well. I will use that to further my knowledge and maybe find out more about real-time radar, because it's already way past here. This is the loop of the last hour, not of not the real time of 11:22 that it is in Florida, for instance. It's from 10:22 on. Okay. God bless. Blessed be.
What is this technology?
Essentially, we're drawing oceanic rain systems that exist over the oceans into geographic targets, into our agricultural areas. The technology uses electromagnetics, so we're not interfering with the atmosphere or with the environment. We're not damaging it. We're not using chemicals fired through rockets like other technologies use. We use a very gentle but powerful technology, launching electromagnetics into the atmosphere to modify the flow of the weather system over the ocean and drawing it into a target. So to try and keep it simple, we establish some kind of link with a weather system, and once we've seen through satellite meteorology that we have that link, we're able to draw that system in incrementally towards the target, such as in this case the Horn of Africa.
So let's take this one as a case study. This was April 20th through the 21st of 2012. This was a visual that they showed on the website, and just as an example of their composite map, and I thought it was a great example to use because here you can actually see you have a front coming through, and then the Doppler radars build a wall. They bloom out, stopping it from continuing on, and it sends it up instead. See, it's coming across, but the blooms come, and then it breaks it up and sends it out. And this is even illustrated really well on the slower one here. See, this Doppler turns that, takes that line of weather, and because it's here, and the energy goes like that, goes around it, like it splits it up, like it's a Laffy Taffy being pulled on a line of conveyor belts. Low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, low pressure, high pressure.
This is a unique little book covering a topic that is much overdue for teaching children about our environment. The title is Funny Clouds, A Chemtrail's Tale, written by Raphael O'Neill, illustrated by Sean Gautreaux, and printed by an Amazon company called Great Space. The story is about little Marie and her mom, who go outside to plant a tree. When they finish, little Marie looks up towards the sky to see strange clouds sprayed by jet aircraft. The story is told in rhyme and prose that can inform but also entertain a young reader. I recommend this book because it has an optimistic message without instilling fear. The story ends on a positive note about how responsible people will ultimately succeed in stopping chemtrails by spreading awareness and taking political action. This little book is a valuable tool for adults to educate their children on an extremely important environmental issue. Informed citizens know that chemtrails were described in House Resolution 2977 as an exotic weapon back in 2001. Concerned parents have a right to protect their children from dangerous chemical experiments in our sky.